If you're looking for the best business credit cards for a new business in this market and moving forward, as well as for non-startups and getting access to over 250,000 in business credit through vendor, fleet, retail, store credit on top of 0% interest business credit cards for the first 6 to 18 months and would like to get this through an expert, then you've come to the right video. Hi, welcome in. My name is Michael with Viral Funding Solutions, and I've been a business funding expert, a business loan broker expert, as well as a pre-underwriter slash underwriter for many years now, helping people in their business and businesses navigate through all of the problems, pain, obstacles, roadblocks to helping them ultimately get to their outcome and results, whether that is immediate funding or what happens after post funding and making sure that they use their funds correctly. I'm one to look at a lot of financials. I love looking at bank statements, tax returns, P&Ls, overall financials of the business, seeing how healthy it is, how healthy it can become, where is it projecting. So looking at a lot of cash flow and profitability projections and assumptions, and just really helping people reorganize, restructure better, understand the numbers, business math, equilibrium, are they in ROI? What's their ROI potential? What's their average order value? What's the lifetime gross profit value of each person, of each client, customer? And there's just so much more to look at in a business and just saying, let's line them up with this lender. There's a lot more, and I'm not transactional. I work hard at what I do, and I do have your best interest as a person first, people over profits in mind. And that's what I care about most, that you are performing at your best as a person. Characteristic traits matter to me more than anything. It's who you are, why you are, what you do, how you are, when you do things first. So making sure you are in the best headspace, best position, stress free, health, relationships, wisdom, and you're growing in those departments because ultimately that is what matters first is me investing into you as a person. And having done this for many years myself, I've grown many businesses, so I understand where you are coming from. In a second, I will get into the share screen too, where I can show you these different business credit cards. So hang in there with me. I just want you to understand where I come from and letting you know that I do have your best interest at heart. But I also run multiple businesses myself, and I know the difficulties out there when you are a startup. You're building something from the ground up. And if you've already done that, from the bottom, not just buying a business, but starting from scratch. Perhaps you didn't have the education, or you did, and things changed along the way. You grew more. I've been there, done that, and I'm still learning in many areas myself and from others, mentorship. People are learning from me. And so there's this huge colossal of information, and it's very important that you just do not start getting information overload. And worst of all, is not taking any kind of action. And the type of action you end up taking is with the wrong person. There are a lot of transactional people. I understand people are trying to put food on their table for their families. And I understand that, but you have to ask yourself whenever you get help from somebody, do they really know their stuff? Are they running their own business and businesses? Do they understand numbers well enough? Are they just telling me about a service? They heard about how I need to use my funds at a surface level, but there's more beneath it that they haven't uncovered and understand really what's the actual issue and like what the numbers are. How do we increase this? What do we need to trim? What do we need to scale back on? Do we need to work on personal and business branding more? Do we need to focus on this advertising source? What's our actual ROI? What's our percentage of ROI? Our net margin, net margins. You're looking at different unit costs. Is it productive? Equipment. There's so much more to look at. And I believe I can help you and offer you so much more guidance. I'll also leave a questionnaire form down below in the description if you're asking, how do I get in touch with you? The best way to do this, because of energy and time, I have my processes, my systems, and the right amount of automation. It's not always there, but down below, there will be a questionnaire form you can fill out, and I will be able to analyze and evaluate your situation just based off of that. I know how to pre-underwrite. It is not an application, and I'll be able to put an email and a comprehensive PDF that's personalized and customized to you, showing you your best funding option and options thoroughly broken down, even showing you information not even publicly released. So that is the best way, excuse me, to get started. And I'll also leave more links down below in the description. One last piece before I get into the share screen here. Like I said earlier, I think different, and it's because of me running my own businesses, so I understand where you come from. I've done a lot, created stuff, systems, done things with courses, with different platforms, CRMs, email. There's so much in abundance to learn. So I'm not just all funding, even though I'm an expert. I started in under other industries. That happens. I'm not great on video. Being the introvert that I am, it's daunting for me to be here. As many videos as I've done, it's a practice and a skill, I guess you can say, that I've learned over the many years of building my businesses. But I'm best at writing. I'm best at math. I'm best at systems. I'm a better back-end partner. I'm not much of a word person. And if this is your first time here, you'll learn that as you go along. And if you've been around for some time, you understand my character, and I very likely understand yours. So let me get into the share screen now to go over these business credit cards. And again, down below in the description, I'll leave for you a video series. Let me actually show you what that would look like. I have one right here. And this is where it says free video series reveals how to rapidly build business credit and get access to over 250,000 funding without being tied to your SSN or personal credit score. Even if you are a complete beginner or have tried and failed, click the button below for immediate access to my watch and learn to build business credit method that you can get set up in as little as 3 days. So this one will take you through vendor credit first. It's not like actual liquidation of a car to have cash on hand or to use as cash. This is where you're building in your trade credit, like trade lines, but you have trade credit underneath your business credit, and you're building these payments up. And that's very much a necessity when you're looking for bank financing, SBA financing, equipment, lines of credit. A lot of these lenders out there have become much more serious about who they accept and are looking for those who have a lot better personal and even business credit. So this is important. At the bottom of the video series, you'll see there's a link you can click on to go watch more on 0% interest business credit cards. And that's where you can get access to those business credit cards. I also have another video series strictly here for business credit cards you can pick up. I'll leave it down below, but it'll likely be this one if you don't see the other one, and you can get access to the business credit cards through this one at the very bottom, again, unless I change things. In case you were wondering where you can learn more from me, here is my Facebook profile. And yes, I am legit. I've done a lot and in other business models before I got into finance. And I already had known about finance back then, but I went into other businesses. I was once an academic studying chemical engineering for some time before I got into business and got my degree through there. Chemistry being my favorite class. I love mathematics. I did the social, physical sciences, and I have a well-rounded structure. Worked in construction, manufacturing, and I know how hard it is to go through. And when you're going through different job roles and you're going through different industries, you have stability, but it's not always the best fit, or you're looking for a better opportunity. Eventually got into financial logistics for a huge contracting company servicing HP&P South and others in the vicinity. Company goes down under 50 plus people will leave. Unfortunately, I'm one of them. Back to food stamp cards and unemployment benefits I go. And that was one of the hardest times to go through. And you live and you learn. And it was hard to go out there and feel like I wasn't embarrassed for a family meal that I could pay 25, 50, 75, 100% of it, or I wouldn't speak up. And I'm the oldest brother of two, so that should tell you a lot. Going to the grocery store with my EBT card, I felt so embarrassed. I didn't even want to see the people who were behind me, in front of me. I couldn't even look the person in the eyes at the cash register. Other times I would, but it was so difficult. Very grateful and thankful to walk out of there. And I began to build a business back then with a digital marketing agency, a lead generation business, a health affiliate marketing business, others in the online business, helping people with CRMs, tools, courses, other things, eventually making my way over time into the finance space. And having been somebody who has gone through funding, really understands the ropes of building a business from the bottom up and understands opportunity out there, you are in the best of hands. And so I found my road and I just stayed consistent. And it's all about the mindset. So let's get into these business credit cards. I know we had a long-winded introduction there, but I really wanted you to understand who you are dealing with and that I have your best interest at heart. You watch a lot of videos out there with a lot of like glamour in the background or the production, which I'm not saying is bad and all, but you really have to hear out the content or what is being said, but more importantly, what isn't being said. And I'm a person again who doesn't put the words in the out there. I'm the one who puts the action behind it. You don't have to tell me more than once. So right here, as you see on your screen, we have the Inc. Business Unlimited credit card. It's an amazing one for startups. There's many reasons and many factors that I can go through in different angles, but the biggest reason this would be best for startups and even non-startups who are looking to grow is because you have larger purchases. So the Inc. Business Unlimited credit card works best and in your favor if you are making purchases, and I would say closer to 30 to 50K at once to buy. You're purchasing equipment, you're getting into contracts, into a new build. You need the extra funds for renovation, rehab costs, for ongoing needs, materials. It's a great need for these types of activities, and it can be for any other role. I can mention any kind of industry and give you many examples. And like e-commerce, that's one of them. If you're making large bulk purchases, units, and you know your cost effectively, you know your fixed and variable cost, how many units you're going to be buying, at what time, at what period, and you know your pricing effectively. That's another thing you have to understand as a excuse me, as a business owner. This for the third time. I'm not a talking person, so it makes it harder. But you have to understand your pricing ceiling depending on if you set and can you adjust the pricing. If you can't, you have to also look at exploring other sources of bringing in revenue in a business. Because if you're capped out because of pricing, you have to also make up for it with other products and services. You also have to look at the starting and ending inventory and what your balance is. What does that determine with your cost of goods sold? And are you operating at efficiency with cost of goods sold? Cost of sales is another way you can think of it, and there's different purposes for each. But that's what I wanted to mention with this. So if you're making larger purchases, understand you're not overutilizing these credit cards and going over that 30 to 40% threshold. Ideally, in this market, you want to be fixated at around 10 to 20%, if not less, enjoying the 800 club. And if you're still over 10% and 20%, you pay it off as quickly and as you go. I wouldn't wait for later on. You're looking at the statement balance, these due dates, closing dates. I would pay them off as you go, but it's much harder to say or much harder to do, easier to say when you're a startup and you have to take on a 50 to 75K project where you won't have an ROI until the third or sixth month, or you're building in 3, 6, 9, 12 month intervals and you're doing a larger build out. So these Inc. Business Unlimited credit cards are great, especially because you have an intro 0% interest period for the first 12 months. And then I can get into the effective APR in just a moment. And there's other things that outline that because of your credit and your capabilities. But with an Inc. Business Unlimited credit card, I recommend having at least a 680, 670. Ideally, for these kinds of cards, you're looking at 690, 700, though, is it. So anywhere between 700 to about 749, 750. The ideal point with these cards to get even higher limits is to be at a 751 and above. And these are great ones. My primary bank is Chase, and having these on the personal, on the business. There are other banking relationships that I'll get into in a moment. But here you see on the screen, earn $750 bonus cashback. As a startup, who wouldn't want that? And that's after you spend $6,000 on purchases in the first 3 months after account opening. That's why I say that these cards are better for higher purchasing power and higher charges, because after you spend 6,000, think about another card that you would be eligible for and you barely had a limit of 10 or 10 to 15. It could even be 20,000. How much of that will you actually use? And is that a card that you usually put forward as one of your top two, top three, or is it your first one? So eligible for making that amount in purchases in the first 3 months. So when you get a higher tier card like through Chase, you know you're likely to spend over 20, over 30,000, especially for a startup. But the real question is how fast can you make that up? How fast can you get your return on investment? And what net margins, gross margins are you already operating at? Is it effective? But that's a whole nother piece of understanding like what needs to be put together, the plan, how you'll exactly allocate the funds and at what time. And as you start to grow your business, as you start generating, let's say the 100, the 200, the 300K per month, millions per month, you really have a better handle on it. And you start thinking more about, well, if I'm getting these cards, well, I'm also getting installment loans. Well, how do I use those installment loans versus how do I use these credit cards that may have a higher interest? So you have to look at that piece. And a lot of the times you get things in little installments and you pay that. So there's a lot to look at, excuse me, but here's one of them with the Chase Inc. Unlimited credit card. And also, like I said, the questionnaire below is so I can help you through credit, cash flow, collateral, liquidity, equity, and then some. And that meaning that I can respond back with a very personalized and customized response and have all of this very energy and time efficient. And more resources below. Earn unlimited 1.5% cash back. Earn unlimited of that amount on rewards on every purchase made for your business. So the key thing here is it's not just selective categories. If you are selective and you're thinking, well, I'm going to be purchasing a lot of office supplies, like going to the Office Depot, or you need something from there even to use, like a card or anything else specific, or even in a different location. Maybe you're going to an Office Max, or you're doing a lot of stuff through office supplies. You need that kind of equipment, the seating, etc. Then the Chase Inc. Cash Card is the way to go. I won't spend too much time on that one. Of course, there are other Inc. cards. All of the Chase cards from that have Inc. on it would be the best direction to go. The Inc. Premier, the Preferred, the Cash, Limited, and so forth. So here you get earn unlimited 1.5% cash back, or in other words, get to earn unlimited 1.5% cash back. Intro APR, this is what makes it very attractive and why it makes sense to make larger purchases, because you get a 0% intro APR for the first 12 months from account opening on your purchases. After that, the effective APR, it is 18.49% to 24.49% available APR. And so without getting into projections or assumption numbers right now, that's just a place of entry. You can see that there. Redeem for cashback rewards. Redeem your rewards for cashback, gift cards, travel, and more through Chase Unlimited Rewards. Employee cards at no additional cost. Employee cards let you set individual spending limits and help you earn rewards even faster. So if your employees have a handle on these cards, that'll grow your business even much more rapidly, and it'll show a wealth and an abundance of making payments. And make sure you're making your payments on time too. It's very important. And when that 0% interest APR period expires, that you are carefully investing into your business, because that can quickly drain you. And now you have these balances, even if they're not outstanding, but you have extra balances that you didn't need. And if you're making little purchases every now and then, here and there, you're likely using an assortment of cards to try to get the highest limit you can. But understand it and make sure you're making the right purchases at the right time and making sure that your business is managed. That's the problematic thing right now, especially in this market. Many business owners, they are not handling their business correctly. A lot of people can start a business, doesn't mean they know how to grow it. It doesn't mean they don't know how to, doesn't mean they know how to manage it, excuse me. And a lot of this you learn on your job in terms of you're your business owner, own business owner, and you're learning the trade in your own industry and niche, and you're beginning to understand how to manage it as you go. And a lot of this, you just need to do that to learn it. Other times, you just have to step aside and look from your business outside in and even get that mentorship and from somebody else, better accounting, better bookkeeping services. And I have connections to that if you're looking to outsource it, which I strongly recommend doing. If you do a lot of in-house stuff as a startup, I get you have to do that. But as you grow, then you have to look at other places. I recommend some certain places to go to, and I'll try to leave more information. When you fill out the questionnaire, I usually put a PDF together, and if I leave it down below, that'll be another thing too. Earn 5% cash back on Lyft rides, earn a total of 5% cash back on Lyft rides through March 2025 with your Chase Ink Unlimited card. That's 3.5% in addition to the 1.5% you already earn on travel. So there you go on Lyft rides. That's really self-explanatory. I don't know how often you'll be using that or how often that's a service you provide or along with, but there's that. Explore additional business credit card or card rewards and benefits, ways to redeem your rewards, stay on top of your business, travel and purchase coverage, employee cards at no additional cost, which is amazing. So you see that on the left-hand side, annual fee, that's $0. And I'm not going to show too much about how do you go and apply for these cards. I've done a separate video. I'll try to link you to that down below. But in general, personal and business information, SSN, a lot of these you do have to personally guarantee. I'll show you a few on this list where you don't have to. But remember this, you are accountable and you are responsible. I want you to think about that and say it to yourself. I am accountable. I am responsible. You are the entity first, and then your business second. We're not just looking, and these providers are looking at your business's health and just determining it based off of that. They're looking at what you have, personal credit history. What are your spending patterns? What's your purchasing pattern like? And I've reviewed so many credit reports. Like I've said, I'm usually looking at a lot of this, bank statements, financials in general. I've done a lot on this side. I've done things on the real estate side, fix and flips, rentals, land. I've done a lot and I understand exactly how things should turn out. You're looking at interest only payments. Is it amortized? If it isn't amortized, what is exactly my payment and maturity? What do I have after this extended time? Do I have extended time? There's so much to look at and so many different factors and sequences to this that you can put and so many derivatives. So if it was one direction, it can immediately split into another one. But ultimately, you have to understand how you'll use your funds, and that'll be a huge piece. And if you do know your numbers and that is expressed with me, that's even better because I'll be able to understand effectively how to help you outside of just what are your operations, what's your free investment, financial cash flow, I don't know what's just your ROI. Those are just the peak levels, and there's more underneath that surface. So that's why when I say, when you work with an expert, when you actually understand more than just the surface level, and they understand that you understand, and they're actually taking that problem away from you, and I'm taking that away, and it's not all your fault because it's hard right now in this economy. There's a lot of instability. There's a lot of external factors that could be affecting you, but a lot of the times too, it's internally. It's what we don't know that really does affect us, and we have to grow and understand that. But having somebody in your corner that understands exactly what you're going through and the pain and exactly like what that means and why does it exactly matter is of importance. So here's one with the Ink Business Unlimited credit card. And as I backspace here, I'll show you some of the more other cards at a bird's eye view without going too much into them. But the Ink Business Premier credit card, that's one that a lot of people end up picking up. There is no 0% interest period. So if you are a startup, this is one I generally tell you to stay away from and have as you grow. The limit on these might not be so high for you to start with as it would be with an Ink Business Unlimited credit card. Effective 0% interest period allows you to do that. But as a startup, if you have this card already and you've used it effectively, that's you. But if you haven't and you're thinking about using this, understand what type of purchases will you be making. If you're going to be making smaller purchases, then an Ink Business Premier credit card is fine as long as you understand how to handle that APR and make sure you make those payments and on time and making sure that you just don't start letting everything roll over into another month. I mean, you can, but just understand your interest and what is rolling over. And like I tell people, I would pay these and make these a priority as a startup. And as a non startup, they might be the least of your priority to pay down because you have other expenses. You have payroll, and there's a lot of different things under payroll and expenses, overhead, different numbers, utilities, bills, the rent, the lease agreements, the different types of leases you have on different equipment, on buildings, commercial. There's so much you have, maybe residential wise that you're working on, but the list goes on and on. And then you have the Ink Business Credit business cash credit card, excuse me, and new card member offer, earn up to 750 bonus cash back at a glance, earn 5% cash back in select business categories, 0% intro APR for 12 months from account opening on purchases. And then you see what it is after that, less than what you would see from the Premier card at its highest 27.49%. And here its maximum is 24.49%, perhaps variable though, could be a little bit higher depending on your on your credit and other viable factors in your banking relationship and etc. So annual fee, zero there. There's a place to apply. Inc. Business Preferred Credit Card. And you see the APR effective there. At a glance, reward your business with flexible and rich rewards. Earn 3x points on shipping and other select business categories. So outside of the unlimited credit card, you're starting to get into a little bit more of what selective categories of purchases, office equipment, supplies, materials. If you're going to be making those vendor credit payments and trade credit and going through fleet credit and a lot of this other stuff, it's a great idea to have these types of cards on hand. There's also the World of Hyatt Business Credit Card. I won't get too much into these. These are helpful if you're looking to go a little bit beyond with miles, travel, and luxury. These are ones that can come later on, and these are not normally ones I recommend for startups and not the easiest ones to get for startups. So there is Chase right there. And for non-startup businesses, those are ones that I honestly recommend to get started with. I have another one here, but even before I get into the unlimited cash rewards credit card or the business advantage customized cash rewards credit card, you'll see. I do want to flip over here to US Bank. US Bank is it's harder to get. They have a lot of stipulations. They have a lot of key entry points and factors you need to meet, credit being higher. A lot of the times you don't just see 700 credit is the minimum. Other times you'll see 725, 750 plus with some predictability. It's not always based off of revenue, but they'll consider that. And on average per month, your business will have be making and keeping. And there's a little bit more of an entry point to US Bank and their business credit cards. But with like all these cards on the list, what I recommend you do, and if it's offered, is get a personal credit card. You have to build your also personal credit threshold and stop just looking at, let me get a business credit card and you don't get the most amount. Like with American Express is the same thing. A lot of people start off with those 3 to 5K limits on the business credit card side with the Blue Business Cash Card or any of your other cards. And they ask why that is. It's because you don't have enough of a balance and it's carrying over to then trying to get a business credit card. So you have to pick up a personal credit card with American Express, and it offers a lot more flexibility when you do that. And you'll then in time 3, 6, 9, 12 months down the road be able to look at a business credit card from American Express, and they see your utilization, they see how often you use to make payments with this card, the type of payments, and they really will base that and see where your business is at and then allow you. And then it offers more when you had to call in and say, oh well, can I get an increase in limit? But that's just another example of American Express, and it's on our list, but we'll get to it. And I left it a little bit later because usually when you get a business credit card through American Express, they are not usually inquiry sensitive. So it's one that I would do in the beginning, but it's also one that I would position at the end, depending on what your personal credit profile looks like. So if you've already exhausted other credit cards, you've been declined recently for them, or they won't give you an up in limit or not enough, then usually I'll say Chase and then American Express will go for 1 or 2 cards if we can at a time, or work in an interval period to come back and get more, remove those hard inquiries that shouldn't be shown on the personal side and repeat the process, help you liquidate what you need to liquidate from the right cards. Right here, you have the business altitude power card. Like this is one that I wouldn't have said right away, but when you're looking at travel and you're looking at more in bonus points, this is the one that offers you the most. So you're going to see earning 75,000 in bonus points. Just spend $10,000 on the account owner's card in the first 120 days of opening your account. So when you look at 120 days instead of just 3 months, you're looking at Chase, you're looking at what travel card can I get. This is the one to go for. 120 days, when you're looking at 4 months instead of three, 10,000 spend instead of more on other cards out there, even for other travel cards. Other times you'll see 5, 10, 6, 7K. But this is an amazing one and it offers a lot of perks. So down here, key benefits, 2 times points on all purchases, no caps or expiration date on total rewards earned, 2.5x points on up to 5,000 in mobile wallet purchases each quarter, 6x points on prepaid hotel and car rentals booked directly in the rewards center. And when you look at the other cards here, you see 60,000 bonus points, just spend 6,000. Yes, it is less, but here you get more perks with the altitude card. Earn $500 in cash back, just spend $4,500 on owner's credit card. And you have here the Business Altitude Connect. This is one that's strong. And then you have also the Triple Cash Visa. But ultimately, this is one, that's why it's positioned in the middle, that I would prefer for less in spend. And this is a very popular one amongst the three of them here when you're looking at these points in the different categories you're spending on. So over here, I liked it because it was 2x points on all purchases, no caps or expiration date on total rewards earned. And that's why I put this in position to first, especially for a startup. And if you already know what you're doing in business and you're growing, then I would recommend the Business Altitude Connect card over the Business Altitude Power card. Why? Because 5x points on prepaid hotel and car rentals booked directly in the rewards center. So if you're doing a lot of traveling and you already have your business together and you need to go out and meet with people, and you're not pushed back exactly on what type of purchases or having to have a broad range of purchases, but you know what you're spending on, that's a great one to go with. 4x points on travel, including airfare, hotels, gas, and EV charging stations, up to 150,000 combined annual spend. And that's what triumphs over all of the others. And 2x points on dining, takeout, restaurant, delivery, and cell phone services, and 1x point for all other purchases, plus a $25 statement credit on ride shares. So while this one has no caps or expiration date on total rewards earned, which makes it somewhat more favorable than others, I do recommend this one because you're looking at going for takeout, restaurant, delivery, and cell phone services, and 1x point for all other purchases. So it adds the perks of a little bit more you can spend on there, plus a $25 statement credit on the ride shares. Over here, Triple Cash Visa made it on the list as well for me. Earning $500 in cash back, just spend 4,500 on the account owner's card in the first 150 days. So instead of 120, now instead of 180, as it grows, and that's what I like about US Bank, their business credit cards, is their period of spending. And you see differences in these different cards that you can spend on and grow with. And in this one, you have 150 days now. So it's less than the middle one, which has the most, but it still has a lot. And earn 3% cash back on eligible purchases at gas and EV charging stations, office supply stores, cell phone services providers, and restaurants, plus earn an annual $100 statement credit for monthly software service purchases such as FreshBooks or QuickBooks. So if you're applying it to that and that's what you're using as your software, payroll service provider, and foreign services, you're keeping track of your expenses, those are great. I've used it too myself. The annual fee, 195. There is no annual fee for employee cards though. $0 intro annual fee for the first year, $95 thereafter, plus no annual fee for employee cards. And then you have $0 on this one right there. So you can learn more about them right here. And if I were to go for the triple visa, learn more, earn $5 in cash back, 3% cash back, 1% cash back, $100 in credit. And you see this right here, just a little bit more. Prime rate, standard purchase APR, plus 10.74% to prime rate, plus 19.74%. And then with it over here, and as I show you the differences between them with Bank of America and Chase, you have prime rate plus 9.99% plus 2 prime rate plus 19.99%. And then with the last one being prime rate plus 9.99%, 2 prime rate plus 15.99%. Introductory 0% purchase rate for 15 months is available over here with this card, with the Triple Cash Rewards business card, with the Business Advantage Customized Cash Rewards MasterCard, and the Inc. Business Unlimited credit card from Chase. You're seeing here that it says not available for that time period in terms of 15 months as well. And the other ones you would see a bit of a difference. Chase, you see usually 12 months. Introductory balance transfer rates, they are available here, not available for those, no annual fee. See that across the board right there. So you can make better predictions here on your monthly spending, and you can just check that out right here at a glance. So US Bank is another one that I recommend. On top of that, FMBO. So this is a great location and institution, place to go to for the business edition secured MasterCard credit card. And I put this one on the list because a lot of the times business owners don't have the best of credit. And you'll see me as I go along in this video, like what are some of the bad business credit cards. I'll try to leave another video down below where I go through that a little bit more. But with this one, the business edition secured MasterCard credit card, you'll see that the earned interest on your security deposits, and this is where you can add however much they're taking, and is it 110%, 100% of your deposit, and that's what you'd be charged for. But these kinds of cards usually work through MasterCard and are helpful for building your credit. So reestablishing your credit that maybe you were in default of in the past, you've had some foreclosures, you've had some delinquencies, and you need to clear these and you're working on them or you have worked on them. Now you need to rebuild your credit. You can't apply for these business credit cards with fair credit. There's a lot of trouble between those. And a lot of people always want the other credit cards like through Chase, Bank of America, US Bank, perhaps maybe something from Wells Fargo, um, GM Marcus, whatever it is. But these are helpful and you can see a little bit more right there. Additional features, more information right there. Learn more and apply. As we were here, so I'm just showing you just some more of the details. And then a variable 25.99% APR on purchases and balance transfers based on the prime rate as everything else. You can request your own credit limit by providing a single deposit between 2,000 and 10,000, multiples of 100. That's how they would want it. When you apply, subject to credit approval. So just understand the deposit account disclosure. So FMBO, there's another one that made it on the list. Here is another one from the Spark 1% Classic. I would not start with the other two unless you were better credit and position to. With Spark at Capital One, a lot of these cards, you'll see reporting to all bureaus on your personal credit. I don't necessarily recommend Capital One unless absolutely it was the last resort or it was only what you knew and you wanted to start there and then build your business credit. So this one specifically, Spark 1% Classic, earn unlimited cash rewards while building your credit for fair credit. Those of you who have that good credit, excellent credit goes along with the other two cards. Everyday rewards, unlimited 1% cash back on every purchase with no minimums or expiration dates. Capital One Travel Rewards, unlimited 5% cash back on hotels and rental and cars booked through Capital One Travel. $0 annual fee, huge addition. Purchase rate 29.99% a variable APR. So that's one of the higher variable APRs on our list. But what do you expect when you have fair credit and they place you in a high variable APR? They want you to also prove yourself that you can make your monthly payments and your expenses paid and pay them off down even quicker. So there's another one. This other Spark cards are good. I'm not going to speak too much about them right now, but when you're looking at business credit cards and you want to ideally identify those with 0%, these are not the ones to go for. And when you have things reporting on your personal credit and on all bureaus, usually what you see, unless it's a few, then that can have some implications where you're trying not to have that show up on your personal credit while you're also looking to acquire new credit from other places, trying to acquire a new home or for helping somebody in auto loan. Your credit is already shot and you're wasting inquiries. These are not the ones that I would start with. I showed you this one a little bit earlier, but the Business Advantage Unlimited Cash Rewards credit card, the $300 online statement credit offer, plus earn 1.5 cash back on every purchase every time, like we saw with the unlimited credit card from Chase. Business Advantage customized cash rewards credit card, online offer, $300 statement credit bonus. This is an amazing one to have. Earn 3% cash back in the category of your choice. That's what makes it just much more incredible than some of the other cards on our list because it's in the category of your choice. It's not like 5% on selective category purchases and then an additional spend on these purchases once you meet an X amount of return. 2% cash back on dining purchases for first 50,000 in those combined choice category slash dining purchases each calendar year, and 1% thereafter, and 1% cash back on all other purchases, or join the preferred rewards for business for no fee and earn up to 5.25% cash back in the category of your choice. And that's also an amazing part. So when you join that for no fee, and you get to be bumped up to 5.25%. And now instead of getting 2% cash back, you're getting 3.5% cash back on dining purchases for the first 50,000. That's not even changed. So it's crazy to think that that's even offered, because if you're not having to spend more than 50,000, let's say if that bumped up to 3.5%, I'm spending now, I have to get 75K. That might be out of reach for some people, but this one's an amazing one. One of the biggest perks is you get to choose how to redeem your rewards as a deposit in your Bank of America checking or savings account, as a card statement credit, or as a check mailed to you. Cash rewards don't expire as long as your account remains open and in good standing. It's very important that with a lot of cards, even with credit lines, like lines of credit, true business lines of credit, that you make consistent deposits, that there's a lot more cash coming in than cash going out. And it's cash positive, not net negative, not net cash flow negative. And this is a lot of stuff that I look at with bank statements. I look at actual revenue of a business. What's the actual SDE of a business? I look at a lot of points depending on what you're using your funds for. But 0% introductory APR for purchases for the first 9 billing cycles. So it's one of the lesser terms on our list with Business Advantage Customized Cash Rewards Credit and Bank of America in general. So if you're looking for a purchase out of 9 months and getting closer to 12 months, because as a startup or even as a non-startup, you're going to have an ROI about the 8th month, and then you might have to have a setback, and then you have to repair some things. So really, your true ROI will come in after 10 months in, where if the 9 month already rolls over, it won't benefit you. Now you're going to have a surplus of like 2,500 to 5,000 in spend. And that's just one category of your business. It's like, it's can be detrimental. So you have to understand exactly the positioning of your business and the health of it. The online only offer may not be available if you leave this page. Okay. That part that was mentioned. A great one. This is usually the first one most people begin with, but the Business Advantage Unlimited Cash Rewards credit card. Again, 0% interest for the first 9 billing cycles. And then what you see would be the effective APR, variable APR after that. Unlimited 1.5% cash back. So as we look at these two, you get a lot less, you get more with the Business Advantage customized card. But here you get unlimited 1.5% cash back, or you could join the preferred rewards for business for no fee and earn up to 2.62% cash back on all purchases if you have a Bank of America business checking account. And that's what's important. So when people ask me, do I need to have a business checking account? I think that right there already answers it. With other places, you may not need to, but when you're looking at the top tier, A tier banks, and you're looking at how you can bump up and get more rewards and get more in purchasing power and more to spend and more back in return, cash back that you can put in other places of your business. And at the end of the year, you accumulate maybe 10 to 20,000 that you can now use to reinvest back into the business or another venture, or you're trying to purchase property, or you're trying to have a down payment. Like, it makes all the difference as you grow. So yes, have a business checking account to qualify for the preferred rewards for business platinum honors tier. Another key point is if you're looking for a Bank of America business credit card and you haven't opened up an LLC, an S corp, and a C corp, I highly recommend you do that. And if you're asking me where to get the best business LLC, S corp, C corp structuring, and I'm not going to get into whether you should do each one or now or another. You can consult with your tax and accountant professional. But if you know what to do, and I can also give you pointers on which direction to go to depending on what you're doing, yes. But down below, again, the free business credit building video series, I'll have a video, and underneath it, there will be a document you can access, with right now being the 9 steps to getting yourself business credit ready and also forming your business. And I'll show you what I recommend in my number one place and what I've done before. And so right now in the market, what is best to form your LLC, excuse me, S Corp, C Corp, I'll give you details to that. And with one of those, once you start forming it all, and it could be more automated and off your hands and helpful for you, in that case, to help you setting up your LLC, etc., then what's the recommendation? Usually you'll see a business Bank of America being offered as opening up an account with them and getting your credit card through. And that would be a great advantage. And it could be a start and it could be something that you add on top of what you already have. But here, I won't go too much into each one of them. You have the Business Advantage Travel Rewards credit card, Alaska Airlines Business credit card. With these, again, you want to make sure you make the payments on time. If you don't have enough that you get approved for with these kinds of cards, because with startups, you might not get the most out of Business Bank of America. What I recommend doing is leaving these as your second or third position card behind, let's say, like of a Chase. If you got approved for a US bank, that would be a position one. Position one also would be American Express, would also be Chase. There's Wells Fargo if necessary. I don't always recommend those. There are a lot of reasons, banking reasons, but this is one that could be there if you have enough personal credit history, age. And I'm not going into each detail on how I can help you credit stack today and add multiple cards from multiple banks. Down below, again, you can pick up the free video series and you'll get access to more information. And I'll show you exactly what you would need in terms of the amount of credit right now and how your credit report and reports should look like and how clean they should be. And I got you when it comes to all that. I've been doing this for a long time. I know exactly what to look for and how to analyze things. Give me 1 second. I have the meeting control, so I have to move that. There are more. Let me look over here just to make sure I covered what I needed to up until this point. Now, we're getting into corporate credit cards. So one right here you see is Brex. This is more corporate, so meaning that your employees can use, you have enough employees in your business. So there's much of a higher standard with this. And with that comes having an LLC, an S Corp, and a C Corp, not just strictly sole proprietorship, individual, 1099, 1040, Schedule C, and that's just what everything is reporting underneath the business, income and expenses, assets and liabilities. When I look at a lot of tax returns, I see it all. And I have better calculations when it comes to a lot of this. How much is the value of a business versus how much EBITDA does it have? What's its true value? What's the true multiplier, the SDE? What are we basing it off of? And instead of just the SDE, EBITDA on top of it, and there's other key factors. But with Brex, this is a great one. When you have those parts together, and what they're giving out is usually 50K and for better investors and investments. Usually for startups, it's the same thing. It's 50K minimum in balance. So your business checking account needs to have a balance remaining of 50,000 deposited. I'd keep it in there. Usually when you're making these types of deposits, one single transaction, if that's the case, you keep it in there for at least 3 months. And that shows better clarity. And if you have other deposits since that time, that makes you even look even better. And what these companies will end up doing is basing it off a lot of that cash flow going in, and more going in than goes out, and there will be a lot higher approvals. Credit is not always the main thing here because you can see a lot of it without a personal guarantee, EIN only a lot of the time. But these are harder to get. Maintaining balances, the amount of cash flow, the amount of liquidation value you have and your business has, assets, asset protection, policies. There's a lot of stuff to look at when it goes to cards like a Brex. But I won't spend too much time, but you see vendor cards, purchase cards, benefits cards, you name it. And down here, credit limits that work for you, 24/7 customer support, worldwide card acceptance, physical and virtual cards issued on the leading worldwide network MasterCard. You're seeing MasterCard throughout this video. 5-star app on iOS and Android. Get rewarded for spending. Earn up to 7 times back. Redeem for cashback, credits, or even billboards. This is one of the higher earning cashback cards on our list without having to go from 3.5 to 5.5, without having to jump here and all that. You get to start off at up to 7 times back in purchasing power. And that's great because if a lot of the employees have access and they're using and it's helpful and it's growing you and your bottom line, it does a lot. So the only card that does it all with controls at your every swipe, automate employee compliance, customize limits and controls, track expenses in real time. Brex is both a really flexible budgeting and card provisioning management tool and our expense report tool. That's a great one there from Andrew, head of finance. Local cards in 20 plus currencies and growing. The one global card program, local currency cards and statements, local card limits and controls. See what Brex can do for you. You click here to get started and you go through that process right there. Now, another one, if that is not within your reach and you needed something, let's say, with a less of a balance in your account, then the Bill Divvy corporate card is the one that I would select. If you could add multiple with Brex, Divvy, that's what I would do and go for. There's also the ramp card. There's a ramp card, but that one you're going to look at a balance of 75,000 to start with. So if you don't have that, that's not acceptable and accessible for your startup or non-startup. You're not in the corporate stage, then that wouldn't really be your best one. So right here, the Bill Divvy corporate card for at least a minimum of 20,000 for startups, no annual fees, flexible rewards. You see a little bit more details here, set budgets to control your spend, annual and monthly fees. But that's the best part about it is that you can keep track of this. A lot of the like Brex, you can see a lot. If you use bill pay and all that, you'd understand the interface of it. I won't spend too much time on it. I've done it a lot myself, but a great one to go into. Limited number of cards per organization, no spending locks or tracking. Some allow for virtual cards, set rewards. Applying for business credit is simple. There you see how it would work. And then just a little bit more here. Transactions, earn more rewards with Bill. How does Bill help you build your business credit score? As part of their mission to make money smarter, Bill reports customer credit performance to the Small Business Financial Exchange. And this is why I strongly recommend this one over a lot of the other ones you'll see, because they'll be reporting there. And that means you can use the Bill Divvy corporate card to build credit history and credit score for your business simply by paying on time. And a lot of this is great. You start building more in terms of payments. You start getting your FICO SPSS. You start merging. You start getting your experience score, Intel score, E-Trans score looks better when you go and apply for funding and things that I can help you with of that nature. There you go. You can see a little bit more there, but these are a lot of the times here with charge cards. So with a lot of these corporate cards, you're expecting a charge. So you have to make the payment within that end of the month, at least full payment, if not already before. So it doesn't just roll over, and just keep that in mind with charge cards. You can up the limit on these a lot, but if you're overspending every month, that is not a good sign, and you can't pay down the debt and you have other expenses. It's hard to keep track of and making those payments on time. So that's there. I said a little bit of the ramp card is another one to go after. Uh, you also have the Discover It card. That's another secure card. That's one that I recommend to unleash your business credit and build your personal credit. So personal credit and turn it into unsecured. A Discover card is a great one, especially if you have bad credit. Now, I could have put more on the list. Honestly, I could have gone for hours with you here, going over a lot of the startup and even more on the non-startup side and gone into exactly Elon Financial and gone into these cards and who's doing the underwriting here for this card and gone through every key detail on what it takes to do the credit stacking. But ultimately, if you're not able to get, let's say, a business credit card and you're looking for, or you just have enough and you have enough balances, it's not what you need to have a higher purchasing power. You have a lot that you have to take care of, and you want a lower repayment and a predictable payment every single month, then I recommend a personal loan that you can use for business. Some of the documents post approval in the beginning stages that can be reviewed on our back end. And that would be 2 years, sometimes 3 years of personal and business tax returns, depending on which ones you have and how they're formed. 6 months at least of business bank statements is preferred to realize how cash flow looks and just what goes in and what goes out, and more in those transactions, depositing frequencies. There's a lot more that I would look at. Let's just put it that way. You would see that and just a credit report attached. Sometimes when you're underneath a specific credit score, we won't have to ask it in a specific way. But as time elapses with these personal loans, what we're going to be asking for a lot of the times are like an IRS EIN letter, just like we would ask for these business credit cards. And if I'm helping you credit stack and putting those together with the team, it's like, okay, well, we need an IRS EIN letter to verify of the formation within your state and that you are an eligible business. And this was formed when this was formed, and just making sure everything is compliant within the states and you don't have multiple EINs and all this other stuff operating underneath the wrong name. Color copy front and back of your driver's license, home utility, bill in your name dated within the last 30 days, voided check. But when it comes to the business credit card side, at 0% interest. A lot of the times it's just no document or very little with an EIN letter for verification. IRS, you have the SS4 or the 147C. There's also a few others, but you have the articles of incorporation, certification of formation within your state. A little bit more there that could be asked for, licensing if need be, verifying proof within the state that you are in good standing to do business within the state. Uh, Photocopy of the front and back, or sometimes just the front of your driver's license, or if it's another form to verify, we can ask for. So, but eligibility based upon that. So there's a little bit there, and then on the business credit card side, and we can do a combination of the two if you decide you wanted both and you can qualify for both, or if it's one or the other. So that's where we are at. Let me go over here again and show you this. This is the free video series for rapidly building your business credits. And this is starting you with vendor credit. So I recommend building that on top of your business line of credit, excuse me, through your credit lines with the 0% interest cards. And you can't get your hands on 0% interest credit cards. How I would balance it if you have fair to bad credit is to use vendor credit. Start with vendor credit, start making these purchases. Look at Uline, Granger, Quill. I can go so much. Creative Solutions. There's so much I can go into. But you'll see all of it here. And I recommend the system you do, something that can help you build your business credit even quicker and help you identify areas of purchasing and the different vendors, suppliers, and like what they would ask for, terms, net 30, 60, 90. Like there's a lot of other stuff to look at. So I'd look at it right there. And again, at the very bottom of this specific video series, like this one you're looking at, I'll have the link to the 0% interest. It can take you to another video, if not this one, another one. And then in the description of that video, there will be a quiz qualifier you can go through. If I have it in a different format, you will see it. But hopefully you got a lot of value from this video. You understand the different types of business credit cards, how to get in touch with me. If you wanted to send me a message on Messenger, I recommend going through here. And I also have this video series specifically for credit line, but I recommend having a mix with vendor credit lines on business credit cards and more. And then I also have my questionnaire, like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, for putting this PDF together. And I can also include the free video series in there along with anything else that you can get access to. But you'll also get a free 6-step pre-approval learning checklist, 900 plus exclusive free grant documentation list, more or less. And then you can go through this page. Some of the people that I've helped get funding and their companies, I just put a handful of them here, but there are more. And then about myself, but you'd go through here from one of the two. If you're a startup, you can click right here, fill out this form, and it would be the best decision you made. Make sure you read through this and you'll understand how to do all of this. And you can get started right from this page. So usually on the thank you page, once you fill out this part, is I'll have like a video, like just introduction, and then above underneath it, if you go to a quiz qualifier for creative credit solutions, then you can go through there and then where to start, where to enter the information. It's all safe and secure upload to be reviewed on the back end. And a lot of stuff that I'm doing on the back end too, and having my hands in things, communication, processing. Now, how much processing can I do? It depends on if I'm available. The team doing it. There's so much, but there's more communication on the back end that I'm doing and then review. But all that is there. And if I change the format of the thank you page, you'll see that if you are eligible, ineligible with that quiz qualifier, you'll see. And if you're not eligible, what are other opportunities? But all of that is here. And what I would like to leave you with, that what I started with, is I have your best interest at heart. I know I spent a good amount of time in my intro, and you look at other videos and they immediately jump into the business credit cards. I've done that before in the past, but I wanted you to understand before you even saw the business credit cards and the content on this is the person. And what I invest in are people. I've been in this so long that I can have my energy and time zap like this, and I'm extremely calculated at identifying if I want to work with a specific person or I don't. And there's just a makeup profile. And if you're very ignorant, stubborn, or at all, not just very, but arrogant, cocky, and cocky not in a good way. Like if you generate results, you stand by being cocky, but not like in a bad way. I mean, that stems from it, but more so confident and certain. You rise up, you give simple feedback when it is asked for, you're open minded, and you're patient, loyal, you have integrity, you're extremely, and you're really trustworthy, you're honest, you're there, you're accountable, and you're responsible. You have the right values, vision, mission, morals, ethics, or you're working up to it. So I don't always just take on anybody and everybody because a lot of people don't have the tenacity to want to have that or have that change. And like, it is me looking at yourself. It's hard to look at oneself and say, I'm the problem. But within that, once you start thinking that, you begin to ask yourself, what do I need to change? What are my fundamental steps? Not just jumping to the end goal in mind. And this helps you a lot in business when things go bad, when there are failures, there are mistakes. I still go through a lot. I decide if I want to break something. Like, I look at my systems now and I go, I'm going to break that. Like, dang it. But I love it because it exposes something, it opens up some more creativity and like, I can make it better this way. Here's that number that I can make better. Okay, great. Here's my conversion now. But now because I broke that, I'm able to make that conversion better. Not that I have to always break something, but I like to do those things where it's like, I've done so much, but I'm gonna iterate this. And maybe it's not breaking it, but I'm gonna make a mistake here. That's fine. I can make that calculated risk. But I know that once I make those extra two calculated risks, I'm gonna get to this. And that's what business is making calculated risks. What are your inputs? What are your outputs? Identify these inputs, identify what outputs you are getting now, what outputs you will get in the future. And it's just all about a pattern. Like, if you're doing this now, could it work out like this? But what gets in the way a lot of this is taking on added and unnecessary debt. Not just debt in terms of funding, but our own debt in our own lives, like what we don't know. And so working on oneself, personal development, morning routine, having the right habits daily, not in just business, but daily life, will make all of the difference. How you take care of yourself will really show how you take care of others. You can't take care of others if you don't take care of yourself. Don't be a hypocrite telling somebody to go exercise. You don't do it yourself. But I heard this on, I'm watching television and I'm getting information from somebody who just is not up to speed on, like, I value your opinion. I do, and who it's coming from, but is it actual facts? Like, is this something that I'm going to take and actually implement? That's the question. So that's all from me today. Hopefully, you got the value that you needed. Down below in the description, the questionnaire, the video series. And I greatly appreciate you. Thank you for your energy and time. I really do. And if you want the maximum help, the maximum amount of funding, connections, even Rolodex, even if I bring you into that world even closer and then some, there you go. And you're no longer just a stranger. In fact, you're not just a friend, you're a family member. I have my arm over you. And that's how I treat my people and in my closer circle. But that's all from me. Thank you for being here. Look down below in the description to get started and take care.